Welcome to UCo Health today. Thank you for being with us. And today we have a very exciting topic to talk about it. It's quitting is power, why Gen Z is saying no to nicotine. And with us to talk a little bit about this important topic in our community, our wonderful Rachel Stad, which is the communicated health educator. And she's going to be the one to explain us a little bit more about what is happening with our youth, what is happening with this topic, because many people say, oh no, most of the people, they are not smoking, but they're vaping, which is worse. And that's one of the things that we are going to talk about that. Welcome, Rachel, and thank you for being here with us today and share all your information and knowledge about it. What new tobacco trends are you seeing in Umatilla County, specifically among youth? Because I have been talking about vaping, but I'm not sure if it's the only trend that we are seeing right now.
Yeah, so when it comes to trends, nothing like groundbreaking is happening. Vaping is still like the biggest trend that we are seeing. And within that, it's more so just like the casualness of vaping or how accepted it is socially. So there's a lot more acceptance around it, or a lot of kids are going off to the bathroom or leaving school or in their cars, they're vaping. There's just a wider accessibility to it. So it's just viewed as something that just like isn't as bad to do in like an indoor setting compared to like smoking cigarettes. People would not be pleased if people started smoking cigarettes inside. But besides that, I do think that ZINs, or like smokeless tobacco pouches, are raising in popularity just because they're easier to hide. You don't really have to like make a whole show of it. Like you don't have to hide the like vape cloud or anything. And so ZINs are raising in popularity, but they kind of hold their own.
That is interesting, how technology and everything evolve, even in this topic. And now how kids are able to find ways to be around of nicotine and try to, try to not offend or be seen, but they are using it.
Correct. It blows my mind. I feel like every time I go to a conference or watch a video or something, I'm learning something new about how like the design of vapes are changing. So there will be ones that have like video game interactive screens on them, or there's some where people can text back. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay.
And parents, they are not aware of this situation.
Correct. And there's a lot of them that are starting to look like school supplies. Like the whole basis of they don't cater to youth, they're not targeting youth. Like we have vapes on the market that look exactly like highlighters, and their brand name is Highlight.
Oh my.
Like, so like, it's just one of those things of like, they look like school supplies. They blend in with the school supplies, or it can look like a handheld device, which have been around for forever.
Yeah.
But like, they're just updating it and making them more trendy or cool, or blending in with things that people would use in their day-to-day lives.
It is impressive. And what are the flavored products like vapes or nicotine pouches serious concern? I understand that it's very, I don't know if it's the same smoke to vape or the pouches.
Yeah.
It's as bad as anything else?
Yeah, so the pouches, the benefit to pouches here, and I say benefit so loosely, is that it's really only impacting the user in that fact. And there are flavors because it's
secondhand
not exactly
smoke.
no one's receiving a secondhand or third-hand smoke situation. And there are flavors of those. The FDA has banned like all flavors except for like menthol and perhaps mint. But I know for sure that like for vapes, there's technically not. For Juul specifically, menthol is the only flavor they're allowed to have. And so I know that there are some ZIN pouches that have like the mint flavoring. And so the flavors are such a concern, and it's great that they were taken off the market in any capacity because that's what draws attention to people. Like everyone knows what a cigarette smells like. No one really enjoys the smell of it at all. But when you think about walking through a cotton candy cloud, or when you think about having like the essence of strawberry lemonade or fruit punch or whatever flavor you desire to like have that when you're using this, it takes away a bit of the scary notion.
So the industry, beyond to improve the design, is also improving the flavor. So it's trying to get all our senses there and try to convince the new generation to get involved or use that product.
Yeah.
And what role does social media plays in normalizing tobacco?
It plays a pretty big role. I think that social media plays a big role in a lot of things and how people are influenced. But we're literally in the day and age of like influencers being able to push products on people. And then you see celebrities endorse something and you think, hey, like that could be pretty cool. And something like a vape or like cigarettes, like you're not really seeing that being promoted. But then you have something like Zyn pouches and they hold contests or have promotions all the time. They did an exclusive concert with an artist and like you had to be like a buyer of Zyn sort of thing and that to like be entered into it. Or they hold like you can win a new Traeger, and a lot of people like to grill, to smoke in the summer. And so it's just like if you have the highest number of Zyn pouches, like containers or something, then like you can potentially win this Traeger. And so like they're drawing that audience in and it's becoming more widely accepted. I see it on my TikTok feed all the time. I saw someone with at least 100 Zyn like containers wanting to win the Traeger.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So we can say that even when it's not promoted as a cigarette or something like that, it's getting there. It's getting more to the new generation at the point that it's more popular and use it.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is, in the fact of like, there are ways that they're promoting it, and with something like a Zyn pouch, it's again like the social acceptability of it. And so like they're pushing that angle with like the colors, the flavors. They're drawing these young audiences by catering to their desires with like people like to grill and smoke their meats, or people love to go see this artist in concert. Like it's a whole, they're definitely using the correct marketing tactics to pull people in to like play the game of marketing themselves without being seen in a bad light.
What do you think people, what do people get wrong from this kind of product?
I think that a big misinformation piece, and it's not particularly on the consumer's part, because tobacco and the nicotine industry do a lot of work to make sure that you don't get the perception that it's harmful. But I think a big misconception is that people view these as safer options. Like we've heard so much information about how smoking isn't good for you. And when vapes first like came on the market, it was like, oh, everyone, this is like the safer, the healthier version, like go with this option, it'll be better for you. And that's just not true. And I think that we didn't know a lot about them in the beginning because it was such a new product, but now we know information about these products to know that they're not a healthier version, that they're not a safer version. A lot of them hold the same negative health impacts and consequences.
Or even worse, because I understand they don't have filter.
Correct.
That is not a huge thing for cigarettes. However, it is a little bit less impact.
Exactly. So cigarettes, they're regulated by the FDA. So they are like, you'll consume the same amount of nicotine for all your cigarettes, no matter the brand. And vapes are not regulated by the FDA. So vapes, you will be getting a variable amount of nicotine in those. And they have different concentrations. Some common ones are like 1%, 2%, and 5%. And so it's just, you're consuming generally more nicotine than you think you are. And so I wish that like a misconception that was taken away would be that.
Well, we are working, and when I say we, as a UCo Health, we are working with schools and with different programs about it. And I want to ask you to let us know a little bit more about how you educate this kind of demographic in our population in Umatilla County.
Yeah, of course. So kids are pretty generally curious. I ask a lot of questions. I personally go into classrooms throughout the county, mostly high school, but I have done a few middle schools, and we'll talk about these products and we'll discuss the facts about them.
What is the first question or I don't know, the recurrent questions they make?
I get a lot of like, what about this brand? And
the options. They're trying to, okay, what
try to
I
figure out the options. Or I get a lot of, okay, but like, if I quit 2 months ago, what should I have like experienced by now? Because the effects are reversible. And I think that a lot of people aren't aware of that. And so I start off all my presentations with asking them what they know, and within that, what are pros to using. And I think that that is something that I get a lot of hesitancy with, but then I also think it opens up the conversation because a lot of people don't associate like pros with using these things. And there aren't a lot, but people at the end of the day do experience some. And so we like kind of have to honor that. And so we have that open conversation and being able to like talk with them and answer their questions based on fact, not fear, that creates like an honest space for the kids and I to interact with that. And then we do a Kahoot and they get gift cards. So they're pretty content with that. But usually these conversations will also lead to other substances, which is not a shock. But I think that kids understand it, but they're generally shocked at how much nicotine is in vapes. And it's kind of like an eye-opening moment for them.
Can we just refresh the time, the ages that we are talking about?
Yeah. So when I go into schools, I'm generally talking to 14 to 18-year-olds. And then when I do middle schools, that's around the 12, 13 age range.
And they know already about this.
Exactly. A lot of them have already been exposed. And a lot of them might have like already used or at least tried these products. And so I think that the nicotine number scares them so much because they know what they've exposed themselves to, and it's a significantly higher number than they're expecting. But so I'm in the classrooms, but then we also have someone on our tobacco prevention team who is leading a youth activity coalition, and so she's doing that with students at Milton Freewater High School, or Mac High, and they are students who are actively planning events on how to promote tobacco prevention and education in their own ways. They've done lunchtime trivia with baskets for the winners. They have gone to these the local businesses in town, and they've tried to get these local businesses involved with that for the baskets. They really enjoyed themselves this year. We had a little drawing contest for them, and they got to design some shirts for our tobacco team. So we're really excited to get those.
Let's go.
And then we also have another team member who has been working with Downtown Association in Pendleton on trying to find some ways to provide an after-school activity or like a third location for kids to hang out that's not school or home.
And I know about that.
You know,
that's gonna be so cool, and you have to be aware of this because they're gonna be able to. I don't know. I think that we can say it.
I think we can talk about it.
Yeah, because by the time that this is gonna be published, it's gonna be out there already. I believe they're gonna be able to go if their parents sign a waiver.
Yes.
Online.
Yes.
To these X.
Yes, the letter X.
The letter X.
Yes.
So it's fun. It's a different activity, and they will be able to step out of nicotine.
Of course. And I do believe that the age is 14 or older. But yeah, it's a waiver, and they do a reduced cost or free cost to be able to participate at Letter X, and it's just going to be a great environment for kids to go.
Exactly. You can visit the UCoHealth.net or our social media, and you will be able to see the flyer and the link or the QR code that you can scan and just fill it out, that waiver, and be part of this initiative that I believe that is amazing. Yes. So everybody will be able to enjoy it. But the most important, our kids here in our community. You talk about the school district are you working with Pendleton, Umatilla, and Hermiston, or just a few of them?
We have done kind of just all throughout the county. And we work in them in different capacities. If we're not in the classroom, we partner up with the Copes for Youth program, and we do alternative to suspension education. So if a student gets caught with a substance, they will be put through an 8-week course with Copes, and I'll come in for a week or two, and I will provide like my insight and knowledge on the substances that they were caught with, and we'll talk about them, discuss them, kind of like see what routes could be next, if like treatment or if like stopping is something that they're interested in, sort of thing. So we do that. And so this past school year, we were actively in Umatilla, Hermiston, we went to Ukiah, Pendleton, and that includes Hawthorne as the alternative, Pilot Rock, and Athena Weston.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, pretty much everywhere, which is the most important thing. It's just not Pendleton or Hermiston that most of the people think that it's like, oh, because we have clinics here, it's just the population that we serve. But no, we try to serve everybody in our county.
Of course.
That's the most important thing. And how do nicotine or tobacco affect mental health and stress management? Because I know that is very related, and we have data about it.
Yeah. So nicotine does give people that like immediate stress relief. Like that's why a lot of people who use it for their anxiety.
But if you try to quit,
exactly. If
that's
you try
the
to
tricky
quit,
part.
people will say that it gets worse. So when we say that there's pros to using, people feel that stress relief when they use. And so like that is correct. Your body does experience that. And then they say when they stop using, their anxiety or their depression or their stress, it comes back worse. And that's also true. And we have to acknowledge that. But what's happening is when you use nicotine, it releases a bunch of dopamine all at once. So of course you're going to feel happy. Of course you're going to feel more relaxed. But when you stop using it, your body's not getting that big rush of dopamine every time. It's getting a lot less dopamine than it's used to. And so there's a lot of negative mental health impacts with using, but people won't stop using because then they'll experience those. And so it's a really back and forth conversation and issue internally for people who want to quit using, but then the anxiety gets really bad for them when they stop using. And so it's just something to keep in mind that it does impact your mental health, both positively in the fact of it takes away the stress when you're actively using it, but it's not a great long-term solution.
But a long-term solution is worse than
Correct. Correct. And so it's not a great long-term solution. And then of course you're going to feel worse after you initially
But the best part is like they are not alone if they want to quit. I mean, we can help. They are not alone, we can guide them.
Exactly.
And that's important. The most important thing is like if they decide to do the first step, then we are going to be able to join them and guide them in the entire road.
Of course. And it doesn't take long for you to start feeling the effects of quitting. Within 20 minutes, your blood pressure will decrease, your like heart rate will decrease, and within 12 hours, like your bloodstream will be cleaner in terms of like the carbon monoxide that's leaving it. And so it's just like continuously, the longer you quit, like your body, even if you're not actively feeling them, your body will be feeling the difference.
That is important thing. Actually, what are some cultural specific barriers or concerns that we can find in our community?
So the tobacco nicotine market has always targeted people of color. And it's tough. They've always targeted communities that have like red lines, so lower economic status, that sort of thing, because there's a lot of brand loyalty within that. And so there's always going to be more marketed ads, more stores, more accessibility in these lower income areas, because that's how they've always operated.
And that affects fake feeling that you will belong to something or someone.
Exactly. Everyone loves to find their favorite coffee shop or their favorite restaurant, and they go, and then recognition from the barista or the waitress or whatever. Everyone loves that. And so it would be no different for a vape shop or a smoke shop or anything like that. And so already right off the bat, people of color are already disproportionately affected in this situation. And so it's a continuous cycle in that sense. And so that's like the massive barrier that kind of encompasses it all, of just like the way that they've marketed and targeted, and they keep continuing to do that, will put an already disproportionate like population at even higher risk.
Do you have any story that you can share with us where you can see the impact or the powerful of this message when you have been talking with kids or anyone about it?
Yeah, so if you haven't come to an event recently, like the Family Health and Fitness Day that Good Shepherd puts on, UCo Health has some lungs. They're real lungs, they're pig lungs, but they're real lungs. And we have some healthy lungs, and then we have some smokers' lungs. And we will pull them out and we'll inflate them so that you can see what these two lungs look like and compare the healthy lungs to the smoker's lungs. And
the reality.
Correct. Reality is what gets a lot of people. So kids think it's cool, and they are super drawn into the fact that they can put some gloves on and touch these lungs, and it's interactive in that way. But what really draws it is they'll like pull their parents over to show them how cool it is. And then we get a lot of parents either passing by or their kids have pulled them over, and they like come and they look, and the realization is kind of just flashing in their eyes, and they're like, so this is, and we're like, yeah, and just keeping it light for the conversation.
Take a picture or video and bring it with you.
Yeah, and we get if someone walks it over by themselves and walks by, this past year we had a lot of people bringing their partners back and being like, these are your lungs.
Hello.
So we get a lot of
Say
call
hello
outs.
to your lungs.
We get a lot of call outs, and I think that it's just, no one's like pledging to quit just then, but I think that it's a moment of realization, and doing it in a space where we're not like shaming or anything. It's purely just education, is kind of like an open moment for them to ask exactly, for them to ask questions, and for us to just be like, oh, well, here are some facts, or here's this, or here are some resources sort of that we have in the county sort of thing. And so, but it's kind of just like that look of realization that my coworker and I are kind of like, yeah, they're having some
we
thoughts.
could take pictures of those faces, because that's a real moment.
Exactly.
And what resources are available? Because we have been talking about a bunch of resources that we can provide to our community. So what are those resources?
Yeah, so Good Shepherd is our biggest resource in the county. They have a smoking cessation program on their community health team. So they have people who are there that can help guide you, walk along beside you in the process of quitting smoking. And you can also talk to your primary doctor if you have one, if you would like to speak to them about starting nicotine replacement. Exactly. About nicotine replacement therapy, or NRTs, so like Nicorette gum, or the patches that people put on, or lozenges. If you want to have that conversation with them, those are some really good resources. You also can reach out to UCo Health if you are interested in something like a quit kit. And if we don't have any on hand, we can absolutely tell you what goes inside of a quit kit, just things that can occupy your mind or keep your thoughts off of the craving that your body will be feeling of nicotine, and different ways to be able to do that.
What is one of the myths about tobacco you wish you could erase today?
That because the damage is already done, I don't have to stop. I don't have to quit. That is not true at all. Like I said earlier, 20 minutes, your blood pressure is going to change for the better. Your heart rate will change for the better. But for a lot of people, like even people who've chain smoked for years, 20 years, which seems like a long time, but especially because we're seeing a lot of younger people start to use vaping or smoking products, 20 years, and your lungs will drastically have changed again. Like your regenerative tissue will change. You'll have the pink lungs again.
And with the lungs, it's going to be the entire respiratory system, and also other parts of your body.
Exactly.
Which is the most important thing. Also, your mental health, because that's important.
Of course.
So thank you so much, Rachel. We can, I don't know, I think that we can talk forever about this topic. It is so many things, but we promise that we are going to do like a second part. We have to keep talking about this issue because it's affecting our community, it's affecting our youth, and we are worried, and we want to provide you the information so the truth and the real facts about it. So please visit UCoHealth.net if you have any doubt, or if you need like any resources, or if you want to get in contact with us, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you. And hopefully you're gonna keep with us, keep watching our videos here in YouTube and in social media.